Howdy, howdy, y'all. Welcome to the latest episode of Love and DeepTalk, the part of your day where I was about to say spontaneously like spring out of the ground, but you kind of chose this, so that's not quite happening. But I will talk to you about Love and Deepspace. I swear, the openings get worse and worse every week. Anyway, I hope y'all have been doing well. I hope you've had a good 2 weeks. When I record this, we are still within a fucking March Mercury retrograde, and it's been hard on me, y'all. It's been so hard. It's been so up and down. I talk a little bit about it in like this little let's play that I recorded. So you probably will see the let's play first and listen to the second. So sorry. The podcast episodes actually come out in a schedule versus the let's plays. Those are probably just going to be whenever I feel like it. Anyway, so welcome to another episode. This is your friendly reminder from your Love and Deep Space God that you should do your dailies and do your weeklies. Check on your flowers in your house. Say hi to the boys. You know, do a little something. Maybe get one of the weeklies done where you make them work, study, or work out. With you. Make them take a little nap. They need a little recharge. And yeah, get that done as like one of your weeklies. So anyway, or do some of your own real life weeklies, like doing dishes. So anyway, this episode I wanted to talk about kind of like the storytelling, in more like a general, like broad sense, in Love and Deep Space. Because A, I do love the storytelling, spoiler alert. And then B, like, to get more specific, I feel like I would have to do like the actual memories, which is something that like I will do. I've just like currently in my life, I'm just like really busy and stuff like that. So I've been trying to kind of do like the types of episodes that like I can kind of do now and like record now, compared to like the types of episodes where I would be like needing or feeling like I need to like rewatch certain memories again, or like go through notes or make new notes or like whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. So anyway, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about like the like storytelling modes in kind of like a general sense, and like what I think about them, and like how effective I think they are, or like who they really work for, really don't work for, some stuff like that. Little chit chat. I say little chit chat, but that wouldn't be deep talk, would it? Nah, whatever. Let's see how long it is before I call it a chit chat too. Oh my god. But yeah, so anyway, um I guess like to start off, I really like with the main story how it's I'm not sure if I would say like actually more in terms of like something that kind of like surprised and like interested me. So I think that's something that kind of surprised me was like in the main story, I guess like the progression of the main story, and like how you really don't get like a whole lot when it comes to the guys, right? Because in like a typical ultimate game, so like again, there's a different episode where I talk more about like some of the other ultimate games I played, but things like with consoles like Love Spell Written in the Stars, and then with mobile ones like Ikemen Sengoku, or like any of the like Cyberd or Voltage games. Um, the way that like the story progresses is A, really linear, and B, you kind of meet the guys and then you pick which guy to follow like the story in, and you play like his route in his story. Um, and then you get to know like everything about that guy like through that story, right? I don't want to give away like spoilers, but like, so in like Ikemen Sengoku, it would be like you would find out about how the guy like is now, and like what their job is now, or what they do in this world now, and who they are now. And then you would also hear about their past, and then maybe later they might tell you about their past versus you hearing it from the other guys and stuff like that. And but you get like a lot about the guy, right? Like you find out like everything about them through playing that main story, although it's like that guy's main story, right? Whereas in Love and Deepspace, it really felt like I wasn't getting a lot about the guys, like not as much as I was used to from like other Ultimate games, you know what I mean? So like I was used to like, oh shoot, like I'm finding out everything, whether it's from like other people or like situations that are happening, or you know, this or that. If you've played like Ultimate games, you totally understand what I'm talking about. um but in Lads, like it was just totally different. Like it was a lot of like plot, and then like how the MC is like navigating this plot, and then like almost like the guys were kind of like definite like side characters, like in the beginning, like almost less like love interest and a lot like kind of like these side characters that are gonna kind of like boost or bolster like the MC. They all service a woman, woo. But so that was kind of like the vibe that I was getting, right? So it was funny because especially in an Ultimate game, I was like, why do I feel like I'm not like learning a lot about these guys, right? So that was like really interesting in terms of the main story. Because even in games like Salty Hounds, which I believe that game is like still in early access, this is like, I know it's on PC. I am not sure if it is on console right now or not. I kind of am curious. Let me see if I could check. But so in Salty Hounds, you can. Okay. Well, I should say it seems like you can romance like more than one guy, right? So you might have like Seha and Junho and oh my god, Noru and Taemin, and you can like increase your affinity with all of them at the same time, kind of like in Love and Deepspace, right? So let me see if let's see if it's on more than just PC, because I bought it and I played on PC. So oh, currently is 15.99 instead of what, like $30, something like that. Nice. Well, yes. Oh, $20. Okay, it's like a couple dollars off. But yeah. So anyway, I what's it called? In that game, like you can like romance multiple of the guys, right? And even in that one, it's like there's definitely a plot going on with the story, and then you kind of like simultaneously like find out about the guys through like different interactions, but that's about it. Like it's like part of the like main feature of the game, but it feels like a lot of like side questy stuff, I would say. I mean, it does take up like a bulk of like what you're doing in the game, but it's one of those things where it's like, um, oh, I think it is only on computer. Well, look at that. Um, but yeah, so it is like a bulk of what you're doing, but there's also like more of like a plot going on, and it feels like there's like I would say like a decent bit of focus like on the plot, and then like in the day-to-day stuff is when you're kind of doing all of the like romancing, but I feel like it's like at a good pace. It doesn't like slap you in the face too much. Anyway. But even in that game, it was like, okay, even though like the plot doesn't necessarily focus on the romance, whereas in something like Ikemen Sengoku or Love Spell Written in the Stars, like the plot is the romance. um it like Love and Deepspace feels different, and it like is set up differently, right? because it's so interesting how we have like this main story going on with all this plot and everything. But then I was like, okay, like where's the romance? Right? Because it's an otome game. So I was like, well, where's the otome? So then I found it interesting in terms of, again, like how the storytelling, I guess, is set up in multiple parts because you have this like main story that's going on, especially like in the main timeline and everything, is what I'll call it. And I'm pretty sure I've referenced it as that before too. But so we have this like story going on that's the main story that is in the main timeline, right? The one that we are presently in. And then we have all of these memories, right? I might pull up my game so I can like look at some of the memories. So if you hear little clanking, I have keychains on my phone. And yeah, you might hear those like shifting around. I was debating if I want to say moving or shifting, and here we are. Move shifting. But yeah, so then we have all these memories, right? And I think that the memories are so interesting as, yes, like just all around, like a gameplay device, a storytelling device, and almost kind of like I don't know what to call this, like a life tool device. Like that makes like no sense. But what I mean about that is like the way that the memories function is like, and like building like affinity with the guys, and like kind of like instead of like getting to know the guys through the main story, you know, it's like you're getting to know the guys through spending like more and more time with them, right? And I really like that because I'm like, that makes so much fucking sense, right? Like, you know, that's just a daily thing, like in real life, where it's just like, yeah, if you want to like find out more about someone in like a deeper way, then you would hang out with them. Like for example, it's like the main story to me, I think I explained this to like one of my friends before, and I was like, the main story to me would be like seeing your coworkers at work, right? Like going to work and seeing the people who are there and like having like friendly interactions with them or something, but you still don't know a whole lot about them, right? And then the memories, like depending on, you know, like which memories are like how far along in the like relationship that you're in or whatever, would be like a bit of like at work where, you know, like you start forming like friendships at work, but also like then hanging outside, like hanging out like outside of work. What are you doing, cat? The cat is here, and initially I had the door open. Oh my god, dude, I swear to God, bro. So, he's wigging. So I initially, like, I had the door open. If you keep poking holes into my chair, we will fight. Okay? I just want you to know that. So, because then I was like, oh, he won't meow so much, and then I won't have to keep getting up and letting him out. This will be great. And nope, he is just a menace all the time. He does not care. So anyway, let's pick a guy. Let's pick Shailush. So, like for example, it's really interesting that, you know, with the 5 stars, especially like depending on when that 5 star like happens, right? Because your time with Silas in a 5 star like Night Plumes is gonna be different from your time with Silas in like Lost Oasis. Although I feel like a lot of his 5 stars just like come right out the gate. So maybe like we'll do Zane. So like okay, here we go. So like Gentle Twilight and Business Trip are gonna feel like really, really different from compared to like his other 5 stars, like Fragrant Possession. Iceborne Warmth is the wedding one, so that's like low hanging fruit. But even like Chilling Crescendo, right? It's like the progression is so interesting, right? Especially because we get these from events, because the my most major working model for ultimate games, like mobile ultimate games, is going to be Ikemen and Goku. So in those events, it's like, yes, they're like one-off stories, but they don't really progress a lot, you know? Like, it doesn't really feel like you get a big lore drop. It's like, something cute happens and you're like, oh my god, I love this. Like, ooh. And then that's kind of it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, cute, special story. Unless they like kind of change things very recently, because I haven't played it in a couple months. But in like Love and Deepspace, it's like a lot of these 5 stars like actually progress the story of that guy. So like not only do you have this main story going on with MC kind of like trying to figure out the secrets of the cosmos and like their existence, right? Then you also have this whole other storyline going on with the guys and like your relationship with the guys, which is very interesting, right? I just think that's like really cool. Like and that's like very cool and like I guess like a very cool like storytelling like mode or medium. Sorry if there's like so many noises. It's just me trying to put down phones and trying to make it not noisy, but whatever. I just can't do that. But yeah, I just think that's so cool as like having two types of like storytelling going on at one time. And then you even have more types of storytelling going on, which is bonkers. And like the anecdotes and then the myths. You know what I mean? Cuz like the ASMR stuff, it's kind of like a combination of like main timeline. Like, okay, let me go to like Raphael's just because I know his like the best. Um, so like in terms of like main timeline, you have like perfect dinner and like summer plans and treasure and drawing time and sleep aid. So brood addiction, memory replay. So these ones are gonna be like the main timeline. Um, like ASMR memories. I know that they're called secret times. I always just call them ASMR ones. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm gonna apologize for that like every episode. Sorry. Um, but then you have like Sapphire Scar and Sapphire Dream, which is like part of a myth. So that's like a totally different like timeline and everything. And then same with like Entwined and Journey Seeker and Hidden Shadows. That's his like Abyss Walker, and then the Sapphire ones are God of Tides. And then you would have Tidefaller and Tidefall Waves for the Sea God, so his third myth. But yeah, so you have like all of these like different modes and like mediums of storytelling, which is would be like the main story, and then like how that's communicated through like a ton of like CGI stuff and like a reading a lot, but also like all of the voice acting and MC being voice acted. And then you have the secret times, which is just the guy talking, and then that can bounce between the timelines. And then you have all these 4 and 5 star memories and the different ways that like those are kind of given to us and the different ways that they're like expressed to us. Whereas like some of the 4 stars, like the Memoria with the promises that they've been doing recently, it's like, okay, it looks kind of like a 5 star or like the main story where you can see this 3D model. But then I stop poking holes. Stop it. I swear to God. You're messing with my flow. Sorry. You are naughty. Do you hear me? I got long nails today, motherfucker. No, don't bite them. You're so bad. Anyway, so yeah, like it's really cool in terms of like having all these different like ways to communicate the story and then like exactly what we're getting from them. Because then even in the main story, we have the world underneath, which is all the like reading, similar to the anecdotes and in terms of like the medium of how that is presented to us. But like there's all these different modes to just unravel this story. And it's very interesting because okay, so for me, I haven't played an ultimate game before that like communicates the story in this way and to like this degree and at this scale, right? So typically in the ultimate games that I've played, the story is very linear. So everything that's kind of happening, maybe with the exception of like some of the events, is very much like is very chronological, right? So even in like the season 1 versus season 2 for like Ikemen and Goku, it's like, okay, season 1 happens first, season 2 happens after season 1. Even in like chronological order, that is the order, right? Whereas like in Love and fucking Deepspace, it's like, you know, the first myth that we get for like Raphael is Sea of Golden Sands, which is the Abyss Walker one, right? That's the permanent one. But that one is not first in the fucking timeline. I don't think in terms of the myths. And then we know that what is it? Forgotten Seas, so the God of Tides myth is before Tears of Ramiro, so the sea god myth. So then it's like, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure the order, like they would all be in the same timeline, which I like to believe that. I think that there's like, I'll have to do like a theories episode, and there is like a theory that it's just like all of these are happening in on like different worlds at the same time, or blah blah blah, and they don't really intersect or whatever. I don't like to think that. I think it's cooler if it's all like one giant timeline. So, but then it makes it really hard to put it all together. So anyway, so I think that it's Forbidden Seas, Tears of Ramiro, and then Sea of Golden Sands, right? But like that's not us getting the story in like a linear way. There are some instances where we get the stories in a linear fashion. Like for example, when we get what is it? Something Banquet. Let me look it up. Oh, Banquet Ablaze. So when we get Banquet Ablaze and then we get what's it called? Then we get Ignited Echoes, right? Like that has a chronological order to it, and they were released in a chronological way, right? There wasn't like a backtracking going on. Haha, backtracking. So anyway, I just realized that. But yeah, so there wasn't that kind of like backtracking going on, right? Whereas sometimes in Love and Deepspace, like we're kind of bouncing around the place, right? So then we're kind of having to like put pieces of a puzzle together, which I do like. I know that for some people, they prefer like either like a linear fashion or a more concrete fashion of storytelling or both. Whereas like Love and Deepspace, it's a little bit more, it's definitely non-linear, but like it's also a little bit more like open-ended, abstract, stuff like that. And like a lot of the times when you have these really like abstract stories and like abstract ways of telling a story, that's when like people start to come up with a lot of theories, or like particular types of people like myself start to kind of like get obsessed with like the story and what could this mean, does this mean that, or like when they said this, could it allude to that, or okay, like what's the timeline, or you know, things like that, right? They start to like take the pieces of the puzzle and try to like fill in the gaps, and I do like that kind of stuff. And like I feel like there are some stories too where they do have some concrete aspects of the storytelling, but then other things are more abstract and are left for the viewer or the player or the reader to interpret. I like that shit. I like that shit. I like stuff that gives me like a bit of wiggle room, because for like, I guess as like an example, like I like coming up with theories, and even if those theories are wrong or they're way off the mark, or if they're not wrong, like it's still fun to exercise that like creative muscle and to be like looking out for certain things, or thinking about like what this character said, or why did they say this and not that, like, do you know what I mean? So I love that shit. I love that shit so much. So like the storytelling mode of this game like really like brought me in because of a it probably because of it being non-linear, B, mostly because of it being abstract, and C, the multiple like storytelling modes, right? So all the different ways, I also hit the microphone, so sorry if that like picked up, but all the ways that we're getting like all of this information, and like we're even like, this isn't even to talk about like the information that we get from like the markings on the guys like bodies, if there's any kind of like paint, like symbols painted, or like the color scheme stuff, or like what their flowers say about them, because there's a ton of symbolism over there. That is a whole other episode, y'all. Like, holy shit, that is like a literature major's fucking like wet dream. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh my goodness. But but that's not even touching on that in terms of like how the story is conveyed through visuals and through symbolism with that stuff. This is literally like just talking about like, okay, how did they like convey the story in like some of their more like major fashions, which would be like the main story, the memories, the anecdotes, the world underneath, etc., right? So yeah, like it was one of those things where with like the main story, it was just very surprising to me because as I was playing, I was like, oh wow, this is like really plot heavy. And I felt like I didn't really get to know a lot about the guys. Like with Xavier, it's like, okay, like he's mysterious. Initially, I was like, he is giving stalker vibes. I don't know about this one. I was like, I'm scared. And then, so then with Zayn, I was like, okay, Zayn seems normal. I like this. Like, okay, I think I like him. And then with Raphael, like, y'all know my story with that, where I was just like, I don't know if I like this one. And then it took the memories. Like, literally in the main story, after I met him, I was like so upset. And I was like, what the hell? And then that's when I was like, okay, I need to go to the second mode of their storytelling, which is the memories. And then that's when I was hooked on him. Like, I really feel like the meatiest part of this game is the memories. And like, yeah, of course, like that's what we get in the gacha. Like, it has to be the best part of the game. But whatever, shut up. So don't talk to me like that. So as if, I can hear what you're saying. Um but anyway, so um yeah, like it was just like one of those things where I just, I don't know. I just, at the time, I just thought it was so fucking cool because I was like, oh, I haven't really experienced a game like do something like this before. And maybe there have been others. Like, I think Tokyo Debunkers has like memories, or I believe that they have like the ASMR memories kind of thing. I don't know if that's like super recent. I don't know if they've always had that. And then Lads was like, ooh, we like that. We're gonna do that. I don't know because this game is literally like my first experience with that. So, maybe for you, you're just like, wow, this is like an old hat, you loser. And I'm over here like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. But yeah, so anyway, whatever. But yeah, so I just think it's so interesting that, and I do like how they have the memories be kind of like the core thing, or like, I just keep hitting shit today. I'm so sorry. Again, it's not a fucking streamy kitty cat, whatever other names I have, podcast if I'm not messing with shit and making it super botched. So anyway, continuing on this botched adventure. Um yeah, so I love the whole mode of storytelling when it comes to the memories. So having the what's it called? Uh like the way that we really get to know the guys being those 4 and 5 stars. And oh my gosh, the 4 stars are so good, you all. Like, do not sleep on the 4 stars. They are so freaking good. Like, I feel like I find out so much about the guys through them. And like, they're so cute, they're so funny. Like, oh my gosh, it's like, I feel like the 4 stars is where you really start to like fall in love with guy, which again makes so much sense because it's like, especially in like the early ones, because you're just starting to get to know them. Like, I like that they like progress in terms of like you can really feel that with like the earliest released ones, like the first initial like grouping of 4 stars, it's like, oh yeah, we don't know each other a ton and or like super well, and they're kind of like acting this way around me, and they're kind of like sussing me out, or like they're not revealing everything, or like with like Raphael, it's like he comes off like really really moody and stuff like that, right? But then like as you start to like get to know them more and stuff like that, like they become like totally different, right? And I feel like when you experience the story that way, where you kind of prioritize the 4 stars a little bit and then move to the 5 stars, you're like by the time you get to the 5 stars, you were just like, I am so deeply in love with this man, I think I might throw up. Like, or pass out or freak out, like, you know what I mean? It's so crazy. And then when you get to the miss, holy shit, I feel like the miss, like the anecdotes, oh my god, those two. So like, okay, definitely like the meatiest part, which I don't think anyone should be surprised in terms of like how long the myths are and stuff like that. But like even like the ones that are the shortest, which are like the first three like permanent memories. So that's going to be like Shooting Stars for Xavier, Tower Secrets for Zane, and Sea of Golden Sands for Raphael. Those ones, even though they were only like maximum like 45 minutes long, like each roughly, like I think Sea of Golden Sands is about 45 minutes, and I'm pretty sure Tower Secrets is like 42, and then Shooting Stars is like 45. Don't quote me, but I think that's about it. But so even though those are the shortest, they have so much freaking information packed into them, and then like they are just designed to rip your heart out, especially Shooting Stars. Oh my god, even Towers, like literally just all of them. But holy shit. So they are like so well done in terms of like telling the story. Like sure, there's always like improvements that could be made, but like honestly to me, I'm like they're really really good in terms of storytelling, and they're really entertaining, they're really interesting. They have like, for this is for people who haven't like watched those ones, or maybe haven't watched the Miss at all, which what are you doing? I know some people who have not watched like any of the Miss, and I'm just like, it drives me insane. It drives me insane because like the the, the entire story just fucking changes after that. But so like, oh my god, like so many things become recontextualized, and you're just like, oh shit, right? So anyway, yeah, it's like the way that they're kind of set up is like there's always like this kind of crazy like huge reveal at the end. Like they give you like kind of some information in the beginning, like especially in Shooting Stars. In Tower of Secrets, let me see, because I know I definitely have like the beginning of that like typed up. Da, 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 da. Okay, so for Tower of Secrets, it's very interesting. Okay, so I feel like they don't give you like as much as they do in like Shooting Stars in the very beginning, and then I don't have notes for Sea of Golden Sands yet, because I have to like rewatch that one and do the notes for those. But like for example, in Shooting Stars, they really like give you a glimpse into like the later parts that happen, whereas in the Tower Secrets they don't really do that at all. They have like a slightly different structure, which I do like, but a structure that like these all the Miss share is that like they definitely really lead up to like this huge big reveal right at the end, which I don't know, I really really enjoyed it. It has like a lot of kind of like ascending tension, and they do really well with building that kind of tension and that suspense and like piquing your interest and keeping you like engaged and stuff like that, right? And like especially with as much like information with like lore that they're dropping, and they do a really great job of like giving you enough but not giving you too much. That is like lads, that's their thing, right? Is the writers are really, really good about giving you just enough, but not everything in the slightest. Oh my god. So, yeah, like that kind of type of storytelling, like I do really like too, because again, it's really good for kind of asking like questions and trying to put like the dots together and you know like coming up with theories and trying to piece things together and feeling like more engaged and involved with the story. So instead of like kind of like passively um consuming a story, right, where like everything's kind of being like spelled out for you maybe, or you're not really like encouraged to like explore the actual story or like ask questions or try to piece things together. I do like how it's more of an engaged and involved story, right? And I usually tend to like stories and storytelling mediums that are like that. Like, I know that there are some people who don't like an open-ended ending. I love open-ended endings because you can find out a lot about a person of like how, of like when you ask them like how they think that something ended, like how a story ended, right? And it's just a really cool, like interesting way to gain like insight on someone and to gain insight on yourself. So that's why I again kind of like gravitate towards like this mode of storytelling. Now nonlinear, I think I'm really used to like nonlinear because of stuff like mostly Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, maybe Final Fantasy 13. I feel like has a little bit more of the non-linearness going on, mostly in the sequels. Not so much in the first game, but the first game is like kind of hard to keep track of. 15, no. 14. 14, a little. Maybe in like Shadowbringers. In terms of like non-linear, no, maybe not. Not with non-linear. I feel like they usually go pretty linear in Final Fantasy. I just think it's like a lot of their like symbolism stuff can kind of mess people up and get a little convoluted, or like how they kind of deliver the story can kind of like confuse people sometimes. I think that's mostly it. But yeah, so I would say Kingdom Hearts though. Oh my god. That's non-linear. That's how I was trained for Love and Deepspace was Kingdom Hearts. but but yeah, no, so I guess in general I just think like those kinds of like the storytelling of Love and Deepspace specifically is just very interesting, and I find it enjoyable. Like again, I know that there are people who really they don't like particular ways that a story is communicated, or like they don't like having to find bits of the story all over the place because they don't want to have to take like a giant notes page in order to figure out like what's going on. Like they just kind of want to like consume the story, know what's going on, and like move on, you know what I mean? Where I think this form of storytelling really requires for someone to get everything that they can out of the story, they have to be really involved, right? And that means like putting the pieces together. And for someone like me, that really speaks to me. Whereas like for some other people, they're just like, I just want to enjoy a good game and then move on. But I think even if you don't dedicate your fucking life to this game, like you can still enjoy the story and get a lot out of the story, right? Because for example, there's like these books that I read where with the sequels, so basically the first book will come out and it'll have like a particular character, right? So in one of them, the character's first name is Cecilia, and in the sequel, she makes like appearances here and there. So you can kind of like catch up with that character in a way. But if you didn't read the first book, because I actually, with that series, I read the second book first. So with that series, if you end up doing that, you're not going to entirely be lost. It's just when that character pops up, you'll be like, oh, I have a feeling that I'm supposed to like know this person, but they don't play like a huge role or anything. But I'm supposed to know this person, or I'm assumed that I know this person, but I don't. But it doesn't detract my, oh, it doesn't take away anything from my enjoyment of the book that I'm currently reading, right? And there's like a huge, like uptick in stories that kind of do that, where it's like you can play it and still enjoy it even if you don't like have the background information, but if you do have that background information, then you're going to enjoy it like 10 times more, you know what I mean? Because then when I did go back and read that first book, I was like, oh my god, like that's crazy, it's this character, and oh, that's why this one showed up, like that kind of thing. And oh my gosh, like that guy is the main love interest for the second book that I read first, but he shows up in the first book, like that kind of thing. Whereas like I feel like in Love and Deepspace, the version of that is like the miss, and that I think more applies to kind of when the game first came out, because like with Fireworks Vow, for example, it's like there are things that are like said, or even like Nightly Stroll, which is Raphael's, I think it's like affinity like 35 or something, because Ebb and Flow, oh, the memory, but Ebb and Flow, that is affinity 55, and then we're getting the new one, what is it called, like Into the Waves or Tidal Wave or something, let me check. That's the new free one. So let's see. Rising Tides. Oh boy, I'm not going to be ready for that. That looks like a fucking Ebb and Flow 2.0. So expect me to be totally emotionally incapacitated after that one. So anyway, I feel like it like really applies to the earlier 5 stars, but like certain things are said, but you can kind of just blow it off as like stuff that like, oh, people just, people would say this stuff like, oh my god, it's been 800 years since I've seen you, and it's like, yeah, if someone's being dramatic, they might say something like that, like, cool, checks out. But in Love and Deepspace, it means so much more, but you wouldn't know that unless you played The Miss, right? Like, it's so crazy. So like that form of storytelling is like so wild. Like, I feel like it's so rewarding, right? Because it's like, yes, you could still play just like whatever 5 star memories and just be like, oh, okay, this is cool, like this is fine, right? But if you take the time to play through like all of the myths and everything, not even like the main story, just the myths, I feel those recontextualize everything. Like everything changes once you watch slash read the myths, right? It's just, that's crazy to me. Like, to me, I can't talk, wow, I'm so sorry for all that stammering. But when I first played the game, right, and like was first experiencing the story, this and that, I literally was like blown away by stuff like that. Like, I was like, wow, like that's just really, really good storytelling. And granted, there's like really, really good storytelling like all around us and stuff like that, but that form, I really like have a special appreciation for people who can like very easily, well, seemingly easily, I should say, weave in that type of like dialogue and have it seem totally natural, but then something happens and it completely recontextualizes everything. Like, there are a couple episodes of Black Mirror where they do that too, and like it blows my fucking mind. Like it really does. And then Move to Heaven, which is a K-drama. I really really like that K-drama. They keep saying that they're going to have a season 2 and I'm just like, when is it coming out, ho? Okay, stop being a coward, give it to me. Um but that show has some of that kind of stuff happening too, which is really interesting. I love it. I love that kind of shit. So yeah. So of course with like Love and Deepspace, like that really appeals to me. Like there were a lot of things that they did in the storytelling that really appealed to me because it's like the puzzle, like putting together a puzzle aspect of everything, b the different modes in which I can find story. But then of course at this point in time, like in the beginning I feel like it was manageable because of us only having like 3 guys, but now that we have 5 guys and then a 6th on the way, they have to stop at 6. I please, oh my god, it's going to be too much otherwise. But so then now with them having 5 guys and then a 6th on the way, it's like, oh my god, it's so much to keep up with, right? Like when you consider it, it's like, yeah, they're going to be in the main story, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's kind of like, okay, sure. But then they're going to have all these 4 stars, they're going to have all these 5 stars. Then they're going to have anecdotes, whether they're going to have one or multiple, whatever. But then they're going to have anecdotes. Then they're going to have some world underneath that have to deal with them, right? Then they're going to have, what is it? Like ASMR memories, which a lot of the times those don't have like heavy lore. But it's still something for you to experience about the guy, to like the guy more, right? And like maybe find out a little bit more about them, especially with the myth ASMRs. Oh yeah, and then we're gonna have the fucking myths with the guy. Oh my god. But so that's 6 different fucking places, just right off the top of my head. But that's 6 different fucking places to go get like information about this guy and story information about him and lore information about these guys. So it becomes a lot. Like I feel like it was a lot more manageable when we had the 3 guys. Not that I'm mad about them having 4. I would never say that. You would never hear me say that. You know that. You know that. You cannot be listening to this podcast and think that I do not enjoy having all 5 men. Come on now. But anyway, but it's just a lot when you're doing what I do and you catalog the entire fucking story and all the events and shit. Ugh, it's so much. But yeah, but anyway, like I really do love like the way that the story is told in Love and Deepspace. And I think it's so interesting that, you know, we have the main story but the main story is so heavy plot, but it feels like there's so much also, to me, like there's so much meat missing from the main story, which is not bad. Like it's not like a fault or anything like that. It's just that all of the meat that, you know, I say is missing in the main story is actually in all of the memories. So to me, I'm like, holy shit, like the memories is really where it's at, right? And to me that like goes against kind of like convention of like, typically I would think that like most of the story would be in the main story, but it really isn't. It's so crazy. And I mean, there is a lot of the story. Like when I say that there isn't a ton of story or whatever going on in the main story, what I mean is that like not everything is there, right? Because especially in like the first like few chapters, like up to chapter, honestly really like probably up to like chapter like 6 or 7, it's like that version of the guys is like so surface level. You know what I mean? Like still love it, still love them, but it's so surface level compared to the memories. And like you spending so much time with these guys and so much is being revealed, especially through these like 5 stars. Like the 4 stars are so good to like kind of get to know the guy and like in a kind of like cheery-ish way. But then you get some of the 4 stars like Homecoming Sonata and then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just fucking die. What? Yeah, I hope you all heard that because that was so cute. Oh, cute boy. Yeah. So, so anyway, it's just wild, right? Because typically, and especially in like a, you know, general video game, like not an ultimate game, and even in like ultimate games, the main story has everything, right? Like that, like you would find your side quests in there anyway. I mean, like you have the main story, but like in like game. It's like you can have the main story and do some of the side quests alongside of it, which I guess would kind of be like the main story and the memories for lads, but it feels like the memories are the main story. Like, does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't make sense. I don't know. But anyway, so basically with like a typical video game, it's just, it feels like everything is in like that story. Like a lot of the main emotional cruxes of like that, like all the characters are going through, and those are where the big emotional beats are, and things like that. But in lads, it's like, yeah, there's some of that in the main story, sure, but most of it is in the goddamn miss. And then again, it's like, it feels like so much is missing, like that if you don't go through the 4 5 stars and the miss, you are missing out on so much. Like, if anyone came to me and they were like, oh yeah, like I played a couple of the 4 stars, but I mainly do the main story and I don't like this guy or something, I'd be like, you don't even fucking know who they are, shut up, go play all of the 4 stars and the 5 stars. Have you even done the miss? And if they're like, no, I haven't done the miss, I'd be like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like, it's just so funny. But like, but literally, I'm like, to me, I'm like, you are missing so much if you don't do the miss. Oh my gosh, that is where, that is the meat, that is the potatoes, that is the whole damn pot roast. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right? The main story is like, I feel like a lot of people are not going to like this meal and they're going to be like, wow, this is disgusting. Okay. I eat everything. All right. So use whatever food replacements you want to with this one. All right. Jeez. But anyway, this is just what's coming to my head right now. Okay. I don't like to explain my brain. My brain terrifies me. We're just going to roll with it. So anyway, but it's like the main story, I feel like, is kind of like the slice of bread that you use to like soak up the gravy, right? It's like, yes, it's good. It's yummy. Right. Or like maybe it's like the mashed potatoes, okay? So like it's your side of mashed potatoes with like a whole pot roast thing, right? And like it's good on its own. I love me some mashed potatoes, so trust me. But it's good on its own. But once you pour the gravy on with the pot roast and like you put the meat in there, maybe you give it a little salt, a little bit of pepper. Like the salt and pepper is like the anecdotes and the world underneath, and you know, just to bring out a little bit of it, and then you can put whatever spice you want in there, like, you know what I mean. But anyway, so like the anecdotes and the world underneath are like the spices, you know what I'm saying. And then I feel like the gravy would be like the 5 stars, right? It's got a lot of flavor to it, right? Maybe like the 4 stars are kind of like that other spice that you're gonna put in there. I don't fucking know, man, I don't cook. And then the real meat, the pot roast, like the beef, is that's the miss. You know what I'm saying? And all together you have this meal, this hearty meal, right? That's what I think. It's so fucking silly anyway. But yeah, so I just kind of wanted to like come on and chit chat about like the main story of my feelings on like the main story and the anecdotes, and well, I guess like all the different kind of story mediums and like how lads tells their story. And again, this is kind of just scratching the surface level, and I also like have very minimal notes. I just kind of like hurry up, whip some things out, and I was like, all right, we're gonna fly by the seat of my pants on this one, so let's see how this goes. So this is how it went. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know, I really like, I personally really enjoy the way that they do a lot of this storytelling stuff. It is overwhelming. Like, I will say that that is like the biggest con, is that this game can be severely overwhelming because we have 5 different fucking guys. So like if you pick one guy or 2 guys and you just kind of like prioritize their stuff and do their stuff, then it's a little easier. But if you're like me and you're trying to do literally everyone's stuff, like it's really hard, right? To like keep up, and then keep up with the timelines, keep up with taking notes. And right now in life, my life is like, I don't give a fuck about you. You don't get to do what you want. Like, you gotta put this on the back burner, get over it. And I'm just like, wow, okay, well, that sucks. That fucks with my mental. Like, you know what I mean? So anyway, but yeah, no, I personally really enjoy this type of mode of storytelling because I enjoy taking the pieces of the puzzle and putting them all together and seeing like how it fits. And again, even if like I make theories and they're like not on the mark or they're totally out of left field or like whatever, it's still fun for me, like even if I'm wrong, because it's just a fun creative exercise to be like, oh, what are the possibilities, and like what am I inspired by in like Love and Deepspace, right? So for me it's like really fun, right? And like and the thing is that because of the non-linear nature of this game, a lot of the times I am fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Like that just happens. I mean, there were some theories that I have, like maybe that's what the next episode will be, is like some of the theories that I've had and do have and stuff. But or like some things that I think would be like really cool to see in the story. So there have been some theories that I've had that have been like totally disproven. Breaks my heart. But with like the non-linear nature to this story, it's like that happens. Like you have only this amount of information and then you have to come up with these theories or like fill in these holes or like ponder about this, ponder about that, and then you get more information and then it totally just shoots everything you had in the foot and you're just like, oh well, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. Because you also don't know like how dark or how depressing or how sad or how hopeful or whatever like the writers want to take the writing, right? Because for some of my theories I was like, oh damn, this would have to be like really dark, right? And yeah, maybe the writers didn't want to go that dark. They were like, you know what, we just won't touch this thing. Everything else can be really sad but not this, right? But you never know, maybe they're just like, yeah, we won't make this really sad, however, we will make the later thing extremely sad, so sucks to be you. Like, do you know what I mean? Apologies for the cough. But yeah, so anyway, that's kind of, some of the pros and cons with this type of storytelling. But all in all, I I love it. I enjoy it. I know it's not for everyone. I know there's some people who want like a concrete ending to a story, or just concrete anything to a story, and then they want like a linear fashion. But I don't know, I enjoy it, all of it. Like I enjoy the stories that do have concrete endings, I enjoy the stories that don't, I enjoy linear and I enjoy non-linear. It just really depends on like how it's done and like the actual craftsmanship in it. And I think for Love and Deepspace they do super well with like breadcrumbing and having double meanings to things and finding ways to make particular things sound really casual, but then going back to it and being like, actually, it was more like this, and this is ripping out your heart. Rip. Like, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, like, that's pretty much my take on it. So, anyway, thanks for hanging out. Look, it's well, okay, almost under an hour. With the little outro, it'll be a little over an hour, but hey, you should praise me anyway because I did really well, okay? It for once this wasn't like a 2 hour fucking long episode, so you know what? You're welcome. You're welcome. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little chit chat episode. Little casual talk, if you will. Um Hopefully soon I'll be able to do like more, well, maybe not like super soon, but relatively soon I might be able to do more like memory stuff versus like kind of like general game stuff. And yeah, that would be a good time. It's just, at this point in my life it's a little difficult with, again, like I talked a little bit more about it on the parallel play stuff, but with like apartment hunting and doing this and doing that, it can be a little difficult. So it is what it is. Um, we make the most of it. You know what I mean? So it'll all be good in the end. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoy the episode. I hope you got your dailies done. I hope you got your weeklies done, or you're working on them, whatever you got to do for that. You know what I mean? And, you know, have a good rest of your day. Hope you got some chores done, whatever you needed to do. Maybe you took a little nap to my soothing voice. I've heard it's soothing, so I'm just going to choose to believe that. But yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for coming on this journey with me and supporting my silly little podcast. Consider supporting the silly little YouTube. I mean, really, it has like a lot of the same stuff. So, you know, if you're listening to it on this, it's the same thing on there. But there's also a lot more extra stuff on YouTube, so consider checking it out. Hee hee. All right, well, see y'all later. Happy hunting, and I hope in whatever event we're in when you're listening to this, you get your man. All right, keep pulling for him. Do all your senior hunt contest stuff. Watch my or listen to my gem hunting video so that you can get as many gems as you can get in as little time as possible so you can get your man. Okay? Okay. I'm on your side. All right? I'm here for you. Okay. All right. Goodbye.